You know, hurt has a way of tunneling into hearts with drills of insecurity, burrowing holes of mistrust deep within our flesh, burning down pillars of esteem as the ashes fill our lungs and chokes life from us slowly. Hurt attacks our raw materials like love and trust, digging them up bit by bit. Industrial colonialism in the confines of ribcage. And we, none of us are exempt. Offense cements heart chambers, making us callous until we no longer feel. Abuse from those that proclaim their love for us bruises egos, leaving black and blue memories embedded in our minds. Ridicule unloads the baggage of unforgiveness and shame at the doorstep to our souls until we can no longer be consoled by locking ourselves with bolts and chain inside the inhabitants of fear. And as the ashes mount, we lose our breath, unable to escape the death that impends. And in my distress, hurt had destroyed me to a point of disillusionment where pain became comfort, and yet I desperately sought after Jesus because I had heard about him, the one who heals the brokenhearted. And so with shallow pants, I ran to him in haste, approached with fists full of gray dust mixed with tears, regrets, mistakes, clenched tightly until the powdery remains took the forms of the insides of my palms. I had heard about him, the one who exchanges beauty for ashes. Never had I met anyone to take my nothing and replace it with something so priceless. I fell down before him. My tears were silent prayers that exclaimed the words I dare not utter in his presence. He lifted my head, his fingers the petals of a buttercup flower, turning my chin a radiant yellow. That morning, Christ's light turned my mourning into joy. His countenance, the sunrise that illuminated my darkness instantaneously. As he began to speak, I felt freed. I drank his words, brewed those syllables into a tea, slowly sipped the sounds until I knew exactly what it was he meant to say. My thirst quenched as living water dripped from letters that spelled out his love for me. In that moment, his gaze, those eyes of fire, melted my breastplate of armor into a puddle of useless defenses. I was vulnerable before him. The faulty fortress of self-protection I had crafted in the hollows of my chest caved in. That fortress, that stronghold abandoned as the true protector stood before me. He called me beautiful, told me that I and my totality, spirit, soul, and body was made in his image. The feeling of love became so vivid as he took a hold of my fists and pulled back my fingers, one at a time, until my palms were open and the residue of my affliction exposed. There lay the glaring reminder of how hurt had demolished my worth, but in seconds, God turned my ashes into diamonds, converting my pain and the worst of me into precious gems that last forever. I never thought it possible to be restored in such a way. My heart fully revived, pounded out a song of freedom I could not ignore. I looked to him and was radiant with joy, my face no longer covered with shame. He told me that true healing can be found only in him, and that the counterfeit methods I had entertained lacked the power to make me beautiful and whole. And so now I know where to seek for the peace that my understanding it surpasses. I'll simply go after the one who will exchange beauty for my ashes.